Hi, this is Kerry Artek with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your weekly update in the Mag 7. I did record this video for the week of Monday, April 6, 2026, and I begin as usual with Microsoft. I'll jump right into it. It was 3 weeks ago that Microsoft closed below this long-term 4-year channel bottom at 400.52. This is our ceiling of resistance that, if tested over the next few weeks, can contain buying possibly through the rest of the year. I'm going to say through April anyway, because below which, the violation of this long-term structure does, I'll use the word allow, the lower 200s over the coming months and possibly by the end of the year. Now, of course, you can't really ignore this old high 349.67 and pull back low 344.79. This is an area that's bound to give the market trouble to the downside, and in fact, I think offers a decent possible 3 to 5 week swing trade back up into the low 400 region. But if there's any position to be had in Microsoft, in my opinion, over the next full year or less, somewhere inside the next full year, it is either being out or short below 400.52. Anticipating this full channel extension, this low area from 22 in the low 200s as a possibility. And certainly if we were to close this week, for instance, below 344.79, that does lend itself toward, this could be within 3 to 5 months then. By the end of the third quarter, we could find ourselves in the low 200 region. And that's all true below 400.52. Upside, we do have a descending 1/3 speed line that I'm going to use as our aggressive up pivot as we move into later Q2 into the third quarter. It is dropping, and as long as the low that was placed last week, which is the pullback low following this all-time high in July of last year, as long as that remains in place, that I'm talking 356.28, then this speed line remains valid and does converge with the channel anyway in about 3 or 4 weeks, the first week of May. And so it is a range. I don't expect to see 400.52 this week, but if we do test it, once again, able to contain buying for the month of April and perhaps through the rest of the year. And I'm only anticipating aggressive recovery as we move through the rest of the second quarter if we can also close back above 418.80. So this is a range that is narrowing every week as we continue into early May, and is the area that, if settled above, it is reverse and go long back into the 480s over the following 2 to 3 months. We're not there yet. I'm just kind of giving you the heads up, and I will apprise you of the location of this trend-defining speed line as we continue through time and as it converges with this significant ceiling of resistance at 400.52. This is consistent, by the way, with the S&P 500. I'm just going to put that out there. We do daily SPY analysis at wickedstocks.com. So if you trade the SPY or the QQQ, if you're interested in S&P 500 or NASDAQ 100 analysis, you can check us out, get a 2-week free trial at wickedstocks.com. But this channel bottom, we settled below 3 weeks ago in the S&P 500. The SPY looks identical, as does the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Heavy below 663.37. Expecting by the end of April or sooner, roughly 610, and quite possibly over the next couple of months, the low 570s in the S&P 500. You can see this analysis on a day-to-day basis by going to wickedstocks.com. I'm showing you because there are a number of markets that are showing similar developments, similar meaningful sell signals as we continue through April and even into the later second quarter. Let's move on to Meta. Meta is one of those, closed below this significant channel bottom that this week is at 586.22 2 weeks ago, anticipating still 469.08. Now, this is an extreme long-term 4-year channel bottom. That would be it on the move. This is really more of, with present volatility, a 3 to 5 week sell signal. I think I said 2 to 3 months at one point, but we have heightened volatility here. And as long as the volatility remains heightened, I do think 469.08 in reach by the end of April, where we can bottom out for the year itself. 469.08, as far as Meta is concerned, is a solid zone to step into if you're anywhere from a day trader, 3 to 5 day, 3 to 5 week, and yes, even an investor, investment grade support at 469.08. Now upside, at this juncture, it would neutralize that sell signal if we close this week above 586.22. But in terms of reversing and going long, if you're looking at buying Meta Yes, you can buy Meta with a settlement above 586.22, but I do rather like the settlement above 608.64. That is the high of the low that was placed 2 weeks ago. That's a more convincing buy signal, in my opinion, and I think it would then likely yield within, well, once again, with present volatility, this could be within 3 to 5 weeks, but let's just call it 2 months or less, 7, 10, 12. So you go along with a settlement above 608.64, expecting 7, 10, 12, possibly within 3 to 5 weeks. Until then, you stay short below 586.22, anticipating by the end of April with present volatility, 496.08. And, if you're looking for a sign of weakness as we continue into later April, just closing this week below 525.72, which is the low settlement price on the weekly chart that was put out 2 weeks ago, is our indication within 1 to 2 more weeks of 469.08. Let's move on to Alphabet. I'll start with this chart. Big sell signal back in early February with that key reversal high. New all-time high. We closed below the previous week's low. We also, a week later, closed below this rising channel bottom at the top of a move. Classic sell signal. That actually still remains in play, anticipating 235.92 to 244.66 as a completed 2 to 3 month target. And I say it is still in play below, and let's move on to this chart, a newly formed descending channel top and the low of the high, 306.46 to 308.86. This is a solid zone to sell into through the rest of April. And from here, by the end of April, we can fall into our objective, perhaps, 395.92 to 244.66. But if we do close this week above 308.86, I am off the sell signal, actually. Within a week or two, we should test 328.39. But I think if we close above 308.86 this week, we reverse and go long. If you're looking for an opportunity to buy Apple at this point, I think a settlement above 308.86 is your signal. And I'm talking really now to 3 to 5 week swing traders and beyond. Closing above 308.86, I think we probably have a good low for the year, and we could expect Apple to continue onward and upward to new highs within a month or two of closing above 308.86. But until then, if you're looking for an area to short sell Alphabet, that is your area, 306.46 to 308.86. And if you're looking to buy on weakness, it is this objective I've been talking about now for weeks, in the 235.92 to 244.66 area, where we could actually bottom out for the year and actually round up nicely from there. Let's move on to Amazon. Amazon threw off a sell signal, as you may recall, back in early February, closing below this channel bottom at 239.73, anticipating still 182.82. We're in a consolidation framework right now. If we do close this week below 198.79, that is the low settlement price that was put out a couple of months ago, then we are anticipating within 3 to 5 weeks or less, this could be a 1 to 2 week sell-off down to 182.82. This one-year channel bottom at 182.82 is solid bottom picking on a quarterly, possibly annual basis. We can round up from here into later 26. If in the weeks ahead we close below 182.82, then you can expect another 2 to 3 month sell-off, possibly inside of that within 3 to 5 weeks to 150, 152. This is a long-term channel bottom 3-year structure that can contain annual selling pressures, and we can round up to new highs actually within a full year of testing, 150, 152. So that is the stair-step approach. But if you're looking for an area to buy Amazon, kind of investment level support at 182.82, this is quarterly containment, perhaps actually able to contain selling through the rest of the year. Holding above 198.79, let's take a look at the upside for Amazon. We do have these convergence structures right now, kind of a rising 2-month, 6-week channel top at 223.61, and you've got this descending 3-4 month channel. This goes back to the November high. Actually, it's more like a 6-month channel at 232.82. Now, these two formations come together the first week of May in the mid-220s. Until then, this is kind of a wide zone. I'm not interested in buying Amazon on strength unless we can close above 232.85. Then I think the market pivots aggressively northbound as we move into the third quarter. Within 3 to 5 months of closing above 232.85, I would expect this 284.36 formation where an annual high can be placed. Until then, if you're a swing trader, you could sell the 223 to 232 region, because from here we can fall away. And we remain weak anyway in Amazon below this 239.73 formation, still anticipating 182.82 as I've already said. So closing below 198.79 is your go with sell signal on weakness, and taking profits and reversing going long at 182.82 on a quarterly basis. Let's move on to Apple. Once again, Apple I cover every single week with a 5 to 10 minute video for paid subscribers at wickedstocks.com. So I really get into the 3 to 5 day, 3 to 5 week swing trade. I show lots of different levels, but broad brushstroke Apple, we've been testing for the last year and a half significant long-term channel resistance, 6-year channel resistance in the upper 280s. We're not going to see 289.23 this week, but I'm just showing you here that this is our ceiling through the rest of the year. And as long as we're below it, you must allow the mid 190s and climbing over the next full year. Now, I don't really have a clear-cut target at 195.45 unless we close over the next few weeks below 233.98, and then I think the writing is on the wall. This could then be a 2 to 3 month collapse to 195.45, where we could bottom out not only through the rest of the year but even through 27 and rotate upward. So 233.98 is definitely an area you can buy into on Apple on a monthly basis. And in the Apple video, I go into all the details as to at what level do we settle below to indicate 233.98 over the next week or two. But for right now, you're buying the low 230s in anticipation of upward rotation, not so much back into the upper 280s, but into the 270s, which is descending channel resistance. Closing below 233.98, you can anticipate 214.82 within 3 to 5 weeks, and within several months, 195.45. Upside, it really would be very simply a settlement above 289.23 in the coming weeks. Not going to happen this week. That would put the Apple stock in a kind of a new normal, which is to say continued aggressive gains as we move into 2027. This would become a 1 to 2 year target in the upper 380s, if so. On to Tesla. Cover it every single day for free on your Wicked Stocks YouTube channel, so you're probably already ahead of me on this by having maybe watched Tesla today. But 430.56 channel resistance, we settled below 6-7 weeks ago, anticipating as a 2 to 3 month target, 335.93. We may actually see that this week, where we could bottom out not only through April, but even through the entire second quarter and perhaps the balance of the year. From here, we could rebound back into the low 430s within 2 or 3 months. Closing above 430.56, expect within 3 to 5 months this 538.61 6-year channel top, where we can place an annual high. I would just encourage you to watch the Tesla video if you haven't already, if you want a more detailed analysis on Tesla today. NVIDIA, we also cover in our paid segment, in our paid platform at wickedstocks.com. If you want to see, just like Apple, the even more detailed than Apple, because this is a daily video on NVIDIA, where we also offer daily SPY and daily QQQ analysis every single day at wickedstocks.com. But we closed back above this channel bottom last week in NVIDIA. That basically rejected a sell signal that had been playing out for the last few weeks below 175.96. We are no longer anticipating 153.27 as a 3 to 5 week target. I think if we close this week Friday below 175.96, you can begin to skew to the downside. But for right now, it looks to me like recovery over the next 3 to 5 weeks. Above 175.96, anticipating the mid 190s, 195.86 as a 3 to 5 week target, where we could top out through the month of May and fall away again. On to, and finally, Palantir, not part of the Mag 7, but we cover it anyway because we get a lot of requests for it. Oops, I'm just going to go to this chart here and show you. I just erased my work just now, unfortunately. So I will mention here, and I'm going to draw this line because I'm just going to sort of show you the dynamic here at play. I'm going to get rid of this channel so I can show the downside. We had a sell signal a couple of weeks ago below 149.85, anticipating a retest, if you will, of this 125.41 level. 125.41 is that high from back in early 25. That was in February of 25. So this is our 3 to 5 week swing trade right now. And that is to say that holding below 149.85, expecting a retest of 125.41, where we can bottom out on a monthly, possibly quarterly basis and round up again. I will say that if we close below 125.41, that we're looking for kind of the 66.12 to 63.40 region as a retest within 2 or 3 months. We're not there yet, and in fact, we recovered nicely last week. After this reversal high from 2 weeks ago, we closed higher on the week, which neutralizes bearish momentum. But still, if there's anything to do in Palantir right now, as we continue into later April, it is to either be out or short below 149.85. And I'm talking right now, of course, to 3 to 5 week swing traders. But if we do close above 149.85, expect pretty quickly, within 2 or 3 weeks, 3 to 5 at the most, 172.64. And 172.64 is this descending channel top. And this is a kind of a 3, 4, 5 month channel top. 172.64 is significant, more significant than 149.85. 172.64 can contain buying on a monthly basis, and we can fall away again, possibly back into the mid 120s within 2 to 3 months of testing 172.64. Last thing I'm going to say about Palantir, if you're looking for a buy opportunity on a quarterly basis, it's either A, as I've already said, in the mid 120s, or B, with a settlement above 172.64, then expecting a sustained rally over the following 2 to 3 months to new all-time highs. Presently, 236.64 is this rising channel top. I would consider a 2 to 3 month target. If we close above 172.64, it is go long, stay long through the rest of the second quarter, into the third quarter, expecting this climbing 236.34, where profits can be taken. I think that pretty much rounds it out. I'm going to leave it at that for this week's update on the Mag 7, and you have a great week.